Afternoon, everybody, and thank y'all for joining us for this month's Parent Cafe. Listen, y'all are in for a real treat on today. We have none other than Commissioner Jordan Johnson here with us for Parent Cafe for this month. Jordan was elected at the tender age of 26 years old. He became the youngest member ever sworn in on the Augusta Commission, serving the historic District 1, growing up in public housing at Dogwood Terrace. He later moved to Healdsburg with his family before relocating back to downtown Augusta. Commissioner Johnson currently serves as executive director of Georgia Shift Social Justice Organization dedicated to serving and empowering marginalized and low income communities. Georgia Shift focuses on year round civic engagement, legislative and issue advocacy, and voter mobilization to amplify voices often overlooked in the democratic process. Through leadership, development, voter education, and grassroots organizing, the organization works to create more inclusive and equitable political system with strong emphasis on rural and disenfranchised communities of color. Additionally, he serves as the chairman of the Richmond County Democratic Party. Beyond his public service, Johnson is the chairman of the Member Services Advisory Council for the Georgia Municipal Association, the co-host of the First Step Radio broadcast highlighting success stories from those recovering from addiction and mental health, and a board member of the CSRA Economic Opportunity Authority. His dedication has earned him numerous accolades, such as the 2024 Presidential Lifetime Achievement and Service Award from President Joe Biden. Okay? Commissioner Johnson's public service philosophy, inspired by the word of former state representative Richard Papa, our duty is to forget ourselves and try to make a contribution to the people we represent to make life better for them. Y'all, with no further ado, we have Commissioner Jordan Johnson here to give us some of this Parent Cafe love, okay? Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
Listen. Jordan is an old supervisor of mine. A lot of people know that. He used to be my supervisor. And I was just talking, we was talking beforehand on how I wasn't one of the best employees,
Yes,
but
you were. Yes, you were. Don't say that. You
but
were.
I have since grown since those young tender ages. Okay,
We had a lot of fun. I remember you remember breakdancing on the stage?
I did. So you ain't have to say
Okay.
all that
All right.
part.
All
Just I was a former
Edit that out.
employee.
We'll edit that part out.
Yes. And so I just want to dive into just a real candid conversation with you, have a couple questions for you, and then, we'll open up the floor if
Sure.
anybody else has some questions.
Sure.
So I want to know what inspired you to take on this role.
So, I started when I was probably 17 or 18 years old. The first real responsibility that I had was paving a pothole in my community. So I remember talking to a commissioner when he came to my school, and he said that if we had any concerns, that we should reach out to him. And I did. The concern was a big pothole, and we were able to get it fixed. But after that, I realized that the communities that my mother grew up in and that my grandmother grew up in, the area that we call the bottom, like that area had not changed since they were living there.
Okay.
And at 25, or I think it was about 25 when I decided to run, I just figured, why wait on someone else to make the change when you can step in and try yourself, even though you don't know everything at that moment. None of us ever do.
Right.
I think the big thing was that our communities needed representation, our kids needed representation, and that if Augusta was ever going to just be the city that we all know, like deep down that it can be, it was just going to take somebody to step up and do it, and not just one somebody, but multiple somebodies to stand up and try to claim the city. And thank God I was successful in that election, and we've been working ever since.
Been working ever since. Yes, and I'm so proud of you. And a lot of the times it takes one person to step outside of the norm and take the initiative. And when that one person steps out, that inspires the people that's alongside of them, beside them, to step out as well into, their calling and their purpose, and to help fulfill that mission. So listen, thank you for being the one.
It was right after I left Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
I think the year after I left Boys and Girls Club, I decided to run for commission.
Yeah. Well, I realized you was very political back then as well.
I had the bug then.
You did. You had the bug back then. And so with being in this position, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
Oh, all right. So don't get me in trouble. So the biggest challenge that I've had just being on the commission has never really been I think it's just navigating politics, right? Because when you have a desire to help people in a political world, you have to also understand that sometimes there's forces that don't necessarily align with what it is that you want to do. And so I can easily say we want to create a program for children, and who would disagree to that? But politics sometimes gets in the middle of that and throws it off. And so I always tell people I don't make a good politician. What I think I am the most is just an elected organizer. I just like to organize people on issues. Right. So the hardest part for me has really just been navigating the political winds. Okay. Because they change so frequently. And then if I had to add another thing, it would probably just be when I'm not able to help a family, or if I get a phone call, I would never forget, like even talking about it now, I feel some type of way. A young person was shot in my district, and I got a phone call at about maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning to that parent screaming and, crying like, help us down here. We need help. Right. And so when those types of things happen and I'm not able to support, I'm not able to do anything, I take it personal. Okay. So I think those are probably two of the most difficult parts of the job is facing an issue that you know is complicated, but also having to navigate the politics to try to address it. Yeah. It's interesting.
It sounds very interesting. And then to go into this next and with what I have to say. So with not being able to navigate it in the way that sometimes you may need to because of some of the political structures, how do you handle the criticism that may come from the public because they don't understand that political structure that had been set up?
It's difficult, because at the end of the day, people don't care about the politics. Right. Which is why the politicians shouldn't care about the politics, right? The people care about the results. They don't care why Regency Mall hasn't been developed. They don't care why Wrightsboro Road is like a roller coaster. I always tell people Wrightsboro Road to change your radio station if you ride on the right side of the road or whatever. Like they don't care why it's not happening. Right. They just want to see it happen. They don't care that the city has to jump through all these hoops to get it done. So how do you handle the criticism? You don't take it personal. I try my best not to take it personal. Sometimes people can be a little difficult.
Yes.
But no, you don't take it personal. What you do is you stay focused on the task, and you stay focused on what the need is. And that's what I've, been able to, I think I've been able to do over the last 3 years, 4 years. But no, you don't take it personal.
Yeah,
They don't mean it.
Even when you be posting on the social media and people jump in the comments and be
All the
saying the
time.
things.
Yeah, and I go back and forth.
You do, because I like a good clap back and stuff.
I try not to clap back like I used to, but I do it every now and then. It just depends on who it is and what it is.
Okay.
Like sometimes I have time for it.
Okay.
But most times I try not to.
You try not to. So you have that type of restraint.
I'm trying to have that type of
That's
restraint.
good.
God is still working on me.
Yeah, a work in progress. Because I don't know if I could. I don't know.
You could. I mean, again, like I said, like it's when somebody starts when you get an angry email or an angry text or an angry phone call. I get them every day. There's not a day goes by that I don't get an angry email or an angry phone call. You listen to the anger, but try to find the what. Try to find the passion behind that. If they're screaming at you over the trash not being picked up, don't focus on the trash, the screaming. Just get the trash picked up.
Just get the trash.
And just swallow your pride.
Right. So, because a lot of the times the anger or the outward expression is just the reaction of what the borderline problem is.
Yes, it is the way that the unheard communicates.
Right.
If you feel like you haven't been heard, you feel like you have to scream and you have to yell and you have to fight to get your voice heard. If you're not used to having your voice heard, you're going to do everything you can to get it heard. So I always say that anger is just the way that the unheard expresses themselves. It's just my job to listen.
Yeah. Look at you being a good listener in things.
I'm trying. It's not easy because I want to clap back sometimes.
Just how you mean I create a fake page.
I got you.
What are the most pressing challenges are you and / the community facing right now?
So if I had to choose one, I would say that Augusta has about a 24 to 25% poverty rate, which means there's about 50,000 people, 50 to 55,000 people in our city living in poverty. A city like Augusta with the resources that we have, that should not be the case.
Right.
And a lot of that poverty is generational, and that's not unique specifically to Augusta. It's unique to the idea of poverty in itself. And so I think, while we have neighborhoods being revitalized, we have millions of dollars going into infrastructure renewal, we have millions of dollars going into entertainments and arts and culture, there needs to be a more intentional focus on lifting people out of generational poverty so that they can take what they have and make a living for themselves and for their families and get them out of the cycle that they've been living in. And it's my family story. My grandmother, my great grandmother, my aunts and uncles, and my mom all grew up in Oak Point. But my mom decided that she wanted better, but she didn't just, get it out of the blue. She had help.
Okay.
We had a godmom who helped put her through college. She had friends who helped watch us when she had to go to school. So I think programs are so necessary to be created and funded and supported, because if we don't have those types of initiatives in the community, then quite naturally that 50,000 number that we're facing right now could potentially grow to 60,000 over the next decade or even more. So I think everything else can be dealt with, but if we don't address the generational poverty and just the fact that people cannot afford to live, they can't afford to eat, they can't afford to survive in today's times, if we don't address that, we're doing our entire city a disservice. Regardless of all the beauty, we're doing our city a disservice if we don't address those 50,000 people who need us.
Yes, and I absolutely agree. And like you said, with the programming and the services and the resources, do you think also when it has been generational, the mindset of this does not have to be my now. I know this is what may have happened for great grandma, great granddaddy, grandma, or whatever. But for me and my family, like you said, your mom made a decision. She made a choice. She's seen. And so is that something that you see that there's the generation of it just really, it doesn't change the mindset, like because it's happened to each generation prior to that, it's just like, this is where I'm going to stay because this is what I know.
Yeah, it's all you know. And I think it's just my pastor used to always say you can't have what you've never seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, even going back to our days working with children in the after school space, we would take the kids to other counties, or we would
Mm-hmm.
take them to another part of Augusta, and they thought that we were out of town. I'll never forget, we took the kids to Riverwalk one time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the kids thought we were in Atlanta. They did not know that
Right.
this space was in their backyard.
Right.
And it makes me go back to, you know, the 90s, living in Dogwood Terrace. I just think that ultimately it's about being able to see yourself where you want to go. Everyone dreams. Everyone has a
Right.
dream. You know, Benjamin Elijah May said that the greatest sin is to not aim, is low aim.
Mhm.
Everybody dreams,
Yeah.
but you have to have the ability to see that one day.
Right.
So I think it's up to us to kind of help expose people to what's possible,
Mm-hmm.
what they can have, versus just, you know, leaving it to somebody else to do. But yeah, I agree. I just think a lot of it is just that folks are just so accustomed to what they know, and they're in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just trying to focus on paying that one bill or feeding your children, you don't have time to think about that goal
That's
20
true.
years from now, because 5 o'clock is coming and that bill is due.
That's true.
That's what we got to start focusing on,
Right.
as not only a government, but as a community. It's not a
Mhm.
handout. It's helping people get to another place in life. We all have that support.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what can the community, I know we've talked about programs and resources, but what outside of that, what can the community do to help
Yeah.
change this narrative?
Well, you know, one of the things that I'm always preaching is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, you don't have to get out here and create a nonprofit. You don't have to get out here and start anything new. You can support folks who are already doing that work.
Mm-hmm.
You can support that. You can just go and volunteer at the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Go read to our kids during lunch. Go and hang out with them for field day. You know, I love the fact that you have so many organizations, and not even just organizations, just people gathering materials to take it to the communities during Christmas or
Right.
just randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Find something that you're passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
something that you'll do for free, and just do it.
Right.
You know, our community needs positive representation. They need mentors.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, you know, in a professional space and you can lend an hour of your time, mentor somebody. Go to one of the colleges and really help build the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that was my family story. My godmom was a teacher at Laney. She was my aunt's teacher, but she was my mom's guidance counselor. And she
Okay.
saw something in my mom.
Mm-hmm.
When she saw something in my mama, she helped put her through college. She made sure she graduated. She literally, when she moved out of her home in Tanglewood, she rented it to my mama for like $500 back in the day.
Mm.
So it's like she saw something in
Right.
my mom. Literally, the difference between someone staying where they are and moving into the future is what you invest in them.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you do? Find somebody to invest in. Get involved with an organization. Get out of yourself. Serve somebody else.
Right. Because it's not just enough. And this is something that I say kind of often. Just because you graduated, don't burn the schoolhouse down.
That's right. That's
Just
right.
because you didn't got the degree, you didn't made it to a certain place.
Yeah.
Don't think that you've made it to a certain place and now forget about all the
Right.
ones that come behind you. Now it's time to pull and educate and pull those ones through, because they have to go through the same process that you had to go
That's
through
right.
as well to get to possibly where you are or even further.
Mhm.
Because I feel like for each generation, we should want them to go further
Oh, yeah.
than what we did.
Yeah.
So for the babies that's behind us, the generation that's behind us, we want them to go further. We want them to do more. We want them to inspire. We want them to pour back into these organizations and start new organizations, be more, just be more active. And so I think that's really good. So how do you measure the success in serving the community?
It's a good question. It's difficult to do that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that there's a set way that I've been able to do that.
Mhm.
But I look at it from an initiative perspective. So
Okay.
one of the big goals that I had when I got elected was to address the flooding issue in East Augusta.
Mm.
We put all of this money, millions of dollars, into East Augusta's drainage program, and now today the drainage has been successful.
Okay.
I guess that's one way we can measure something like that. Another issue was homelessness. We've been really intentional about addressing the issue of homelessness in Augusta. Those metrics are a little bit different because when we do our point in time count every year, we see that there's an increase in folks living in shelters and living on the streets.
Okay.
But we're also working through lists to get people housed throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different there. So I'm not really sure how do you measure that actual success. I think one of the biggest things is if you have more people coming in wanting to be involved in something,
Mm-hmm.
that could be an indication that it's working or that is picking up steam.
Mm-hmm.
But I try not to look at, numbers so much as I'm looking at the individual. If we're able to help one person, that's success.
Right.
But I will tell you, a lot of the things that we deal with are code enforcement violations with slumlords.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of folks who are just living in cars and living in terrible conditions. One success indicator there is they get out of that position and get someplace else. So, but again, it's difficult to really measure that. So we just got to stay focused on the end game.
Yeah, but like you said, if we can help one person, one person, one family at a time to get to the next level and get them from where they were to where they need to be and help them to be able to sustain that, then that's success within itself. How do you engage with underserved populations? I have a way that I'm gonna let you answer and then I'm gonna answer how I think how you serve and engage with underserved populations.
Okay. All right. So I just go to the neighborhood. I just go straight to the neighborhood. I'll go to the neighborhood. I'll take ice cream with me. I'll take a food truck or something. I just go. I don't even go with my commissioner tag on or a suit or whatever. I just go to the neighborhood. We'll pull up. We'll just talk to people.
Okay.
I think that's one way of just showing that you care. There was a neighborhood in Eastview, East Augusta called Eastgate. I just go to Eastgate and just hang out every now and then, sit on the porches. And in that regard, like you get to hear what their real concerns are because they build rapport with you. They trust you. I'm not going, trying to be the commissioner. I'm literally just going to hear what's going on so I can figure out how to help. So I like to just pull up in neighborhoods and, just sit on the back of the truck, you know what I mean? And just hold court.
Yeah.
Now what you about to say?
So listen.
I'm nervous. You smiling too big.
So what he won't tell y'all.
Oh, God.
Is that he also engaged in kickball games.
Oh.
That he loses at.
That is a cheap shot.
To my dear friend Shonda Stovall. Shout out Shonda, girl. Thank you.
That's a cheap shot. Let me tell the story. Because we can't just pass by that. We got an audience in here today.
But who won?
It's not even important.
Why is it not important?
All right, I'll tell you why it's not important. The kids won.
The kids won.
So although I lost 6-4, let's tell the story. Shonda Stovall is an amazing public servant, right?
Yes,
school board president. She got elected to the District 1 school board position. I got elected to the District 1 commission position. And we wanted to have a kickball game just to get the community involved, right? Just to get the kids something to do. So this was about 2021. We had the game scheduled, and then the weatherman said it was going to rain.
3% chance.
She said 3%. It wasn't no 3%. That's what Shonda says. The weather called for like at least 20% chance of rain. To be real, I just didn't feel like playing. So I canceled it. And what was it? It was Monday.
It was Monday.
We broke the ground on the new playground in East Augusta and had a kickball game. And she changed the rules in the middle of the game and everything. Changed the scoring, changed everything. 6-4.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we lost.
Okay.
So that's why it don't matter because the kids won.
Because the kids won.
Yeah, the kids
won. Well, the kids won.
But I was hurting that night. I'm telling you, I was hurting.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna go there.
Ibuprofen, icy hot.
All that.
All of it.
And the funny thing is, I gave Shonda a tube of icy hot before the game started. I said, "You're gonna need that." And I was at home like, man, I wish I had that icy hot.
You wish you would have kept it for your own self.
It's just throwing me under the bus, and just.
Well, I'm glad you was making it because we have steps that you have to climb.
I felt them too.
So I'm glad you was able to make it on in here.
Love it.
So, all right. So what are your top priorities for this term?
So I have 3 years and 7 months left on the commission. My top priorities moving forward are to pass some type of measure to support our communities, not support, but to protect our communities from gentrification. I think that redevelopment is a good thing. I think that supporting our communities with new amenities and just everything is great. But the reality is there is a number of folks in our communities who, if we address redevelopment too fast and not in a methodical way, they'll be pushed out. And so passing measures to help with protecting our communities from gentrification. I am 100% focused in on affordable housing, making sure that affordable housing is a reality in the city.
Yes.
I mean, while Augusta is not as expensive as other places, it's still somewhat it's unattainable to even buy a home or to rent a house at a decent cost.
Right.
And then, of course, we still have to do more for our youth. We have to do more for our kids. We have a generation that's raising themselves. Either they're raising themselves or Miss Rachel raising them. Somebody's raising them.
Right.
But we have to get out here and really be intentional how we address our kids with programs and support organizations like this one.
Right.
So that's going to be where I put my focus these next few years.
Okay.
God's willing, we'll be successful.
Yes. And so with these being your top priorities, I know I kind of asked it earlier, but how can the organizations help you in supporting you with being, intentional about seeing those things come to pass?
Yeah. I think y'all doing a great job already. I think one of the biggest things is that when you look at what a child needs to be successful, you have to look at the child, you have to look at the family, you have to look at the environment, which is why, and I keep going back to East Augusta because, so I have 14 neighborhoods, Laney Walker, East Augusta, Harrisburg, Sand Hills, the whole nine. But when you look at East Augusta, that neighborhood has such a stigma. But we were able to work with the arts community to create the first crosswalk mural in the community that represented history and peace in the neighborhood. We were able to do the park and the kickball and the playground unveiling over here, working with the city to give kids recreational things to do. So I think that the organizations are already doing such a good job. We just have to continue the work that's being done. I think the question should be, what can I do or what can the city do to support the efforts of the organizations? Because you all are the ones that's going to have to pick up this banner and run with it.
Right.
It's going to be our responsibility to support you financially and to support you morally as well. So, that's what the question should be. What should we be doing to help y'all?
To help us.
Yeah, because we can be doing much more to help this community.
Okay, absolutely. Well, like you said, the financial, that leads into the next question. What strategies are in place to ensure equitable resource distribution?
Well, I think we are still in the position of figuring that out. There's still some challenges that lies ahead of us that's going to cause us to really determine what that looks like for the community. We need more grant programs that the city funds to be able to support organizations like yours and other organizations. I think one of the big issues that we have is that as a government, we want safe communities. We want healthy neighborhoods. We want crime-free communities. We want schools that are passing and that are excelling, but we're not willing to put our money where our mouth is. We'll show up and take the pictures and cut the ribbons, but we come empty-handed. And I think that is something that we've got to get outside of.
Right.
If there's an organization trying to help the city address an issue or reach a goal, we should be willing to support that financially. Now, of course, the city of Augusta is not just dripping in money. There's just not an unlimited flow of resources. But every year there's a budget that's passed. The community has to come out and speak on allocations that they want to see towards certain programs.
Okay.
If the community doesn't show up, those dollars don't get allocated. If there's a program or an initiative that folks want to see and it's going to have a certain price tag to it, speak to your commissioner, speak to your mayor, talk to your local representatives. Because if you don't, that money is either going to go into the general fund or it's going to go somewhere else. So we have to do a better job of supporting what we expect. And the community has to do a better job of coming to ask for it.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. And so when those, I guess, the forums and are held, those are posted on the public website so people can to know about it. Is it blasted well enough for people to be aware of, and not just for the people that looks for it, but what about the people who just may not be in the know of how to reach out or
I suggest that people follow our social media, Augusta, Georgia Government.
Okay.
Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. because our commission meetings are live streamed to both our Facebook and our YouTube page. But all of those public notices for the budget hearings and finance committee meetings are always out there.
Okay.
I was the finance committee chair for 2 years, and I would try to put that information out there. Now I'm the vice chair of the finance committee, Commissioner Stacy Pulliam is the chair, and she is on top of things.
Okay.
And so she also likes to put things out there as well. So follow the social media pages, because the budget is typically passed around November or December of a calendar year, but those public hearings start around October, late September, early October, where you can come, you can see the budget, and you can request money from the city. There's also a thing called SPLOST, and SPLOST is a continuation of the penny tax that we have. And each cycle, the commission creates a project list. So if you want to see the Riverwalk developed, if you want to see roads paved, if you want to see something like you see in other cities, talk to your commissioners about that as well, because we can make the request for that to be on the project list. So there is nothing that we do that is quiet or masked. We want to make sure that the community has a say so in this stuff.
Right. Okay. So y'all listen.
Reach out.
Make sure y'all follow any other kind of social media page and outlet. Make sure you are tuned into your own local community pages so you can be in the know about these type of things. Okay. And so this is gonna be my last question. Then we're gonna get to some questions of the people. Okay. So listen, what is your overall vision for East Augusta?
Oh man, my overall vision for East Augusta, I think, is the same vision that I have for the city as a whole. Is that deep down in all of our hearts, right? We know what Augusta can be. It's like, if you're from Augusta, you get mad when you hear disgusta thrown around there. If you're from Augusta, you get frustrated that we feel like we're just kind of stuck. If you're from Augusta, you just get mad about us not having anything.
Right.
If you're not from Augusta, you're frustrated because you're looking around like, what are y'all doing? This city has potential. We always talk about the potential. It's time to start making progress. And so my overall vision for the city is that we should be a community that is progressive in our thoughts, socially, politically, and economically. We should be a city that is inclusive. We should be a city that other folks are driving to come stay here other than the first week in April.
Right.
We should be that city all year round. If you want to see something, if you leave in Augusta to go to Charlotte or to go to Greenville, Atlanta, to have a decent life or a decent weekend or whatever, I understand. We need that in Augusta. We need that to be our city.
Right.
And I believe in my heart that we can have that. And it's not taboo. It is not a fairy tale to have those kind of things in Augusta. What we need are leaders who are willing to push the envelope unapologetically, regardless of who it frustrates or what systems it shakes up. We have got to build this city, and not just for us, but for our kids and our kids' kids. You know, we can build Augusta for us now, but we're coming to the part to where, we're not going to do the things that we wanted to do yesterday. I ain't calling you old. I'm just saying. So the overall is, we cool like that. The overall vision is to make Augusta the place that people would want to come.
Right.
Not only folks from out of town, but make it a city that we will be proud to live in.
Yeah.
So that's my overall vision. Healthy communities, smart communities, fair and clean, but just overall, we know what Augusta can be.
Right.
And I just really want us to get to that place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just one place. It's everybody has their own vision of what the city can be.
Exactly.
Let's do it all.
Let's do it all.
Yeah.
Because like you say, sometimes it is frustrating when you do have to go to Charlotte or, like you said, Atlanta, or just go somewhere else to be able to enjoy a nice weekend, to I want to do a getaway, so I need to go this place and then pour money into that city, when we could be the city that we're pouring money back into. I'm not going to use that last statement I was just about to say, because we don't need that another.
I hear you.
Crap place. But
I love it.
So we're going to go into the questions.
Okay.
How do you plan to balance fiscal responsibility with the need for investment in the underserved areas.
I is there a part two to that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I think you can do both. Um, we don't need to just keep our checkbook open and just give freely
Mhm.
because that's not responsible. But if you have millions and millions of dollars going towards contracts in our city that are inflated contracts, meaning
Mm.
you can get the same service, you can get better service, but you don't have to pay that much for it. Let's start looking at our budget as to where we can cut back on waste, where we
Mhm.
can cut back on frivolous spending. If we're spending more money on contracts than we are on actual services, let's cut that back so that we can free up dollars to support our communities. We're a $1 billion government,
Mhm.
but only about $280 million of that $1 billion goes towards operations. Everything else is capital, which means that's your utilities, that's your airport. Those are dollars that you don't see every day.
Mhm.
And it's those capital funds where I believe the most waste exists.
Right.
You find ways that you can cut the budget that doesn't hurt operations so we can recoup some money to serve the community. So you handle your obligations, but you find ways to support at the same time. So I would never say that we should just open the floodgates and just spend,
Right.
because that's not responsible. But you can't pay me to believe that we can't take care of our city in a responsible manner and take care of our people at the same time.
Yeah.
It's been done in too many places.
Right.
And Augusta is not so far out with our needs to where we can't get a handle on it now.
Mhm. Absolutely. Good answer. So, are you familiar with Bridges Out of Poverty, the Bridges Out of Poverty program?
I've heard about it, but I am not as abreast as I could be.
Okay. Well, it is a framework for understanding poverty for service providers and community service workers.
Okay.
And that is one of the programs that Augusta Partnership has and that we also offer.
I know that, I just know the name of it.
You just didn't know that.
Yeah, I talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
There we go. But it still goes back to I should be a little bit more abreast of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so we will have to talk more
Yes.
outside of the cameras about the Bridges Out of Poverty program, because I think that, going back into, the generational thing,
Yeah.
and, this is a part of a programming that we can get families to sign up for and to be a part of, so they can develop a structure on how to balance a budget, on how to be able to move from one area to the next area of their lives, and how to structure them to where, yes, the bills are still going to be there. Yes, we still got to worry about how our babies are going to eat, but also giving them enough
It's the tools. Yeah.
tools
Yeah.
to be able to say, okay, if I follow these steps right here, I'm not going to be in this same situation.
Right.
3-4 months from now or a year from now.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the needs are still there, but giving them the tools to say, I can have the ability to change the situation that I'm in right now.
That's key.
Yeah, I have the ability.
Yeah.
And so, yes. So listen, that about wraps it up.
That's it.
That's
Okay.
it. That's
All right.
it. Well, I mean, is there anything else you would want to say? Is there something else that you want to put out in the community? What you got to say, Commissioner?
I'm happy to be here. Proud to be here. I think that the work that Augusta Partnership for Children, what y'all do is good work, and I want to be able to go on record to say that I support y'all 100%. And again, if anyone in the community wants to do something positive, find your lane, figure out how to get it done, reach out to your elected officials, reach out to other community members, and let's just start moving some things forward.
Right.
Again, like, we all know what this city can be, but it's going to be on us to really step out there and make it happen. So I'm here. You can reach out to me on social media. You can call me on my phone, 706-564-9356.
You put your phone number and things out there?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's there for.
Okay.
Let me know what I can do to support you, and let's do some good work.
All right.
All right.
Well, it has honestly been a true pleasure to have you here. We haven't had a sit down in a minute.
Yeah.
We haven't had a sit down in a minute. So this was very nostalgic.
Yes, it has been. Yes, it has
for
been.
me as well. So again, I thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Thank you for answering the questions. And just being open and honest and transparent about you know, where you stand and where you feel like the community and Augusta as a whole can stand. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can really appreciate the honesty that you always portray, not just in this moment, but I follow you and I watch you, and you are always, and you have always been open and honest and true to who you are. And I think that's another reason why you're as successful in your position as you are. So thank you for doing the good work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so listen, y'all, that wraps up this month's Parent Cafe. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you, my live audience, for being here. Thank y'all for the questions that y'all submitted. Listen, this is it. We will be back next month. And yeah, bye.